be given cues to stand and be seated at appropriate times. Today's ceremony will follow outdoor protocol. Berets and covers should be worn. As a reminder, during the playing of honors and the national anthem, all military members should stand at attention and salute. Our civilian guests should stand and place their right hand over their heart. Please place all cellular phones and devices on airplane mode to avoid interference with the live stream of the event. The ceremony will begin shortly. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we're good. We're good. I was panicking. Stay safe.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Captain Cody Davis from the 26th Special Tactics Squadron. Today, the Air Force honors the extraordinary heroism, distinguished military service, and sacrifices of one remarkable man, Staff Sergeant Alaxey Germanovich. We want to recognize our distinguished guests in attendance today. Please hold your applause until the end. Commander, Air Force Special Operations Command, Lieutenant General James Slife. Command Chief, Air Force Special Operations Command, Chief Master Sergeant Corey Olson. Commander, 27th Special Operations Wing, Colonel Robert Masitis. Command Chief, 24th Special Operations Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Chris Grove. Command Chief, 27th Special Operations Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Sean Aiello. We also welcome all commanders, chiefs, family, and friends. Thank you all for sharing this day with us. Let us also remember our Gold Star families. The memories of our fallen Special Tactics teammates are never far from our hearts. Presentations, such as today, are always tempered by our solemn remembrance of our Special Tactics brothers and their families who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our great nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, playing of honors, playing of the national anthem, and invocation by Chaplain Captain Capps. Present the colors.
I invite you to join me in prayer. Almighty God, we seek your help today as we attempt to pay down the debt of honor we as a nation owe this warrior, his team, and his family. We thank you for Staff Sergeant Germanovich, for his unconventional heart, lethal professionalism, and steady disregard for his own personal safety. Thank you for empowering this man in the face of grave peril and even death as he drained the deep chalice of courage and counted the lives of others more important than his own. Thank you for his fierce resolve on the battlefield that returned warriors to their families, and in so doing vividly reflected the divine attribute of self-sacrifice. Lord, heroes aren't born, they're made, and we thank you for the family that formed this man. We know that freedom is built on the backs of families like the Germanoviches, and we thank you for them. Thank you for this team of Red Berets and joint warriors, and for the ways they have shaped this airman and defended us at the gate. As we honor this man today, instill afresh in all of us the gravity and cost of the freedom we breathe. It's in your matchless name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Capps. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the home of the 27th Special Operations Wing. Today, we honor the remarkable actions of one Special Tactics Airman, Staff Sergeant Alaxey Germanovich, for his courage while engaged in combat operations in Afghanistan. Additionally, we would like to welcome members of the 7th Special Forces Group team Staff Sergeant Germanovich was attached to, including Major Rich Fetters, Sergeant Major Zachary Bowman, and Master Sergeant Juan Olivares. Equally important is the steadfast support his family has provided him throughout the years, and so they deserve recognition for their deep devotion and continued service to our country. We welcome Staff Sergeant Germanovich's father, Mikhail, his mother, Lilia, and his sisters, Susie, Angela, and Alla. I would now like to direct your attention to the empty chair in the front row of our distinguished visitors' seating. This seat of honor represents our fallen teammates. In their honor, we dedicate today's events. Please join me in a moment of silence for our fallen. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the commander, 24th Special Operations Wing, Colonel Matt Allen.
Thanks very much, Captain Davis. Really appreciate the introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for being here today. It is an honor to host today's ceremony. Staff Sergeant Germanovich, here in your home unit, with your family around you, the mighty 27 South teammates that are here as well. It's great to be here as well. Welcome to all of our distinguished visitors, notably, of course, Secretary Barrett. Thanks, ma'am, for taking the time to preside over today's ceremony. Lieutenant General Slife, Command Chief Olson, it's great to have you all here as well. And of course to our teammates from the 27th South, Colonel Masidas, Chief Ayala, great to be here. Our teammates from the 7th Special Forces Group, and a warm welcome, of course, to Staff Sergeant Germanovich's family. It is terrific having you all here. This is your day, and I'm really, really grateful you could make it out here, so thanks. We are the 24th Special Operations Wing, AFSOC's Special Tactics Airmen. And paired with the broader Air Commando team, we conduct access, strike, recovery, and battlefield surgery missions across the globe. Most relevant today, however, our airmen keep the promise to our teammates that you'll never be outmatched in a gunfight. Paired with their air component, guided by the values of our service, and driven by our warfighting expertise, we are willing to shoulder any burden and endure any hardship in America's causes abroad. You know, today I'm struck with Alaxey's story on the importance of choices that we make in our lives. and the cascading consequences of those choices on ourselves and those who are around us. The choice a young family makes to leave their country of origin, to come over to America for freedom and opportunity. No more American sword. The choice an individual makes to volunteer to serve their nation, especially in a time of war, and to specifically pursue a pathway into the Air Force Special Operations Command. And the choice a military professional makes day in and day out to prepare for combat. It's not just the will to win that sets us apart, it's the will to prepare to win that makes us professionals. In a minute, we will hear a detailed account of the actions in April of 2017. This battle was a case study in toughness and in extraordinary competence, but it was also a case study in love. The type of love that demands teammates fight for one another and give everything they have for one another. The type of love that burdens you with the feeling of responsibility for your teammates when they're in harm's way and you need to act. You told me earlier, Alaxey, that you did what any one of your teammates would have done put in the same circumstance. But we don't know that. What we do know today is what you did, facing and devastating a numerically superior enemy on their own turf. As a mentor recently reminded me, this is why America's enemies do not take us head on. Warriors like these will make them pay. Your actions are why we're here. Your actions turn the tide of a vicious battle and save the lives of your teammates. They are a reminder that our character is not revealed when times are easy, but when they're tough. Our legacy as airmen spans decades across our history. And the majority of us wearing the cloth of our nation are privileged to play a small role in the defense of our nation. But today, you cement your legacy in the service's history for gallantry and combat. And that's why we're here today. You join this group of warfighters whose common characteristic is uncommon valor, and we are all proud of you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to introduce the presiding officer of today's ceremony. As the 25th Secretary of the Air Force, Secretary Barrett leads the Department of the Air Force and is responsible for organizing, training, equipping, and providing for the welfare of 695,000 airmen, space professionals, and their families. Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Barrett.
Thank you, Colonel Allen. I appreciate your introduction. Even more, I appreciate your invitation to be here to join you and Staff Sergeant Germanovich and his family on this extraordinary occasion. In some ways, Sergeant Germanovich is like every airman. He took an oath to support the United States Constitution. He personifies the warrior ethos defined in the Airman's Creed. And Sergeant Germanovich is like every airman in that he embraces the Air Force core values of integrity first, service above self, and excellence in all we do. However, Sergeant Germanovich is unique among airmen in having been tested and having proven in his truly extraordinary heroism at a time of combat. His raw bravery, his courage, his fortitude, and his unfaltering resolve under fire, those are what we recognize today. Although you may know some of his story, here today, it's important to review a bit about Sergeant Germanovich's valor at America's behest. On April 1st, 2017, then Senior Airman Germanovich joined coalition commandos on a mission to clear an eastern Afghan valley of 450 ISIS fighters. The expected week-long operation morphed into 17 days of close combat of enemy engagement. We are here because Senior Airman Germanovich's actions on April 8th. Mid-morning on April 8th, with his coalition team, Senior Airman Germanovich was patrolling through an enemy-held village when suddenly an intense, chaotic firefight erupted. Under threat of being overrun by enemy forces, Senior Airman Germanovich exited his position of cover to mark the fortified fighting position of two suicide-vested enemy. Moments later, his efforts paid off when a friendly Hellfire missile neutralized those dangerous ISIS targets. Then, 400 meters away, his team's command element was pinned down by a barrage of enemy heavy machine gun fire. Airman Germanovich directed bombing and strafing runs to suppress that enemy fire. But still, the enemy persisted. So again, Senior Airman Germanovich cast aside his personal survival instincts. He and 4 Special Forces soldiers departed their protection and crawled across open terrain to the entrenched, fortified enemy bunker. After successfully breaching the enemy's stronghold, the team was immediately attacked from 3 sides. With 25 armed enemy moving in on their position, Senior Germanovich employed suppressive fires while simultaneously calling in close air support from an AC-130 gunship. Now, 7.5 hours into this intense firefight and running dangerously low on ammunition, Senior Airman Germanovich expended some of his last rounds to neutralize a machine gunner and 2 other enemy fighters just 35 meters away. For now 8 relentless hours, Senior Airman Germanovich directed dozens of aircraft overhead and called in danger close air support to stifle the enemy. Out of ammunition and defending with pistols, friendly ordnance and enemy machine gun fire struck within 90 meters, then 65 meters, 35 meters, 20 meters of his position. In demonstrating the strongest bonds of military members that they can share, Senior Airman Germanovich used his body to protect team members, including one who was mortally wounded. Still, he fought on. Senior Airman Germanovich's extraordinary heroism protected 150 friendly forces in the valley that day. He was intrepid and relentless. Sergeant Germanovich, your actions that April day and throughout the 1-week mission that lasted 17 days, you exemplified America's very best in an airman. Ladies and gentlemen, this award, an Air Force Cross, recognizes extraordinary heroism while engaged in combat. This is the highest commendation I am authorized to bestow on behalf of the Commander-in-Chief. Sergeant Germanovich, since 9/11, or actually in the past 2 decades, only 11 Air Force Crosses have been awarded. Today, you receive the 12th. Your Air Force recognizes your gallantry, and your nation honors your valor. We thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Barrett. Staff Sergeant Germanovich, please join Secretary Barrett. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Air Force Cross. Attention to orders. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Title 10, Section 8742 United States Code, has awarded the Air Force Cross to Senior Airman Alaxey Germanovich for extraordinary heroism in military operations against an opposing armed force as a Joint Terminal Attack Controller, Combined Joint Special Operations Air Component Afghanistan on 8 April 2017. On that date, Airman Germanovich and his Special Forces team accompanied Afghan Special Operations Forces to seize key terrain in Nangarhar Province, Afghanistan. For 17 consecutive days, the American and Afghan forces were consistently engaged in close combat with enemy forces. He commanded numerous danger-close airstrikes, directly engaged the enemy, and orchestrated medical evacuations. On the morning of 8 April 2017, Airman Germanovich and his team came under intense machine gun and sniper fire. A ferocious firefight ensued, enveloping friendly forces with countless enemy fighting positions as insurgents continued to reinforce from all sides of the valley. Without hesitation, he deliberately placed himself in grave danger by sprinting toward the isolated teammates, traversing 70 meters of open terrain and a fusillade of machine gun fire. He directed multiple strafing runs with 500-pound and 2,000-pound bomb strikes as close as 90 meters from his position. As his team member was mortally wounded, Airman Germanovich placed himself between the attacking enemy and the pinned-down friendly forces, protecting them with his body and employing his own suppressive fires. As they expended all their ammunition and drew their pistols to suppress the enemy advance, Airman Germanovich directed close air support as close as 20 meters from his position, neutralizing the enemy. Finally, he coordinated medical evacuation helicopters to extract the wounded and helped carry a soldier 700 meters uphill to the landing zone as he continued to call for close air support. During 8 hours of intense enemy attack and complete disregard for his personal safety, Airman Germanovich's actions directly resulted in the protection of over 150 friendly forces and the lethal engagement of 11 separate fighting positions. Through his extraordinary heroism, superb airmanship, and aggressiveness in the face of the enemy, Airman Germanovich reflected the highest credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Mr. Mikhail Germanovich, please join Staff Sergeant Germanovich on stage to pin on the Air Force Cross. Will Staff Sergeant Germanovich's family please join him on stage for a photo? Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you, Secretary Barrett. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in one more round of applause for Staff Sergeant Germanovich. On behalf of the Secretary of the Air Force and the men and women of the 24th Special Operations Wing, thank you for attending today's Air Force Cross ceremony. Following the departure of the official party, Staff Sergeant Germanovich push-ups, one for teamwork, one for fallen comrades, and one for Staff Sergeant Mark De Alencar, to total 23 push-ups. Please join us in the tradition to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifices. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party.